largely I'm going to be speaking on not of purchasing a house, but of building a house. I think the purchasing aspect has been fully vented. Luke 14:28 reads, "For which of you intending to build a house does not sit down first and count the cost whether he has enough to finish?" I would suggest that everybody who intends to build, right, that is Luke 14:28, whichever translation you want to read it from, write it at the very top, because it is all about counting the cost. Now I'm going to have a conversation, so to speak, not quite a presentation, as to the things people should really focus on. So in terms of, if you have your land already, fine, but when you're going to land acquisition, there are some things that we ought to consider. And I'm going to just catch a little bit and say, if you're going to purchase a house, especially if it's an older type house, you should request a structural report. Get a structural engineer to assess the building. You don't want to be spending your millions on something and all you have is the valuator's report. The valuator will just tell you what it values. Who says that building will stand up? So it's a recommendation. If you're buying an older type house, get a structural report. And what you may find is that when you go to insure the house, the insurer requests it. And then when you get that structural report, you realize that you get basket for carry water, because what you thought you were paying for was not what you got. So be very, very careful with that. So let us move now to your land selection. If you don't have your land already, let's just look at your land selection. And it's you know, a lot of us want land with vistas, views, or we may want it on the coastline, you know, we want it up on the slopes and the hillside. And some of us just want maybe flat, or we want, you know, certain neighborhoods that are desirable. Now, there are a couple of things that you really want to give attention to. Number one, the slope of the land. I had occasion to go look at a piece of land. Somebody asked me to go and look, and I got the directions to go. When I went there, I was looking for where they said the land was. I was looking over this cliff, and honestly, I did not actually see the land. The only way you could get a house on that lot is to hang up the house, like when you hang up a picture on a wall, because there was nothing in the horizontal plane for you to build on. We must give due attention to this. There's another example. There was a client who wanted to build on a particular piece of land because the view was absolutely fabulous. And we suggested that he sell the lot he has, and it was back in about 1998 or somewhere there. Sell the lot he has, add $1 million to it, and buy something easier to build on. And I will tell you, he didn't get building until maybe around 2004, 2005, and he spent back then, when he had finished spending about $3.5 million, he did not start to excavate for the house foundations yet. That was just to create access, which we were trying to get him to avoid by going for a gentler slope. You will see once you're building on a steep slope, you're going to find yourself building levels you don't need just to get up to the level you want. Please be cautious about it. I know you love the view, you want the view, but you may not be happy with the building costs. And that is a lot. The other thing to consider also is that there is a hillside development manual produced by the Mines and Geology Division. And it is what it tells you is that there are some locations, there are some slopes that you ought not to build on. And you can get an engineer to do the assessment for you and make the recommendations to you. But there are just some locations that ought not to be built on. There are some slopes that are too steep. There are some slopes where what you call it, the soil is fairly loose. We call them cohesionless soils. But the soil is fairly loose. So once you start going there and digging down and building, you're going to get movement. You have to build huge retaining walls. And there are many cases when people have spent money on retaining walls and just driveway, they probably would have spent a quarter of what they would have wanted to spend on the house, or maybe even more. So you really don't want to get into that kind of situation. So it's critical. You look at the slope, you look at your topography. You want to definitely look what go down in the land. Maka might juke you and that kind of thing, but walk the land, get a feel for it. Go with your architect or your engineer, whoever you're going to use to design your house. Walk it and make sure you feel what it is. You don't want to go there and the view look good at the front, and because it bush up, you don't know what's in there. Get one cutlass man with there, carry your own cutlass. Go in there, bush it so you know you don't end up in some gully or some ravine, or there's some cave there or something which render the land unsuitable to be built on. All right, so we soil types. A tricky soil type is clay. And how you know it's clay? If it wet, it going to stick on by a boot and it's hard to come off. That's how you know it's clay. Difficult to remove. So if you dig up some, you can roll it into a perfect ball. If it's not too wet, you can roll it into a perfect ball. It's like plasticine. That is terrible material, terrible soil to build on. But most of us, we just buy the land and we figure we can build. Anyway, a lot of houses, you find a lot of houses that are built on clay. It's not that you can't build on it, but they have inappropriate foundation. So when you go on clay, you really need to do what you call like a raft foundation. If you're building on clay, your engineer can guide you there. There's a lot of things to consider, people. And Jamaicans love big house, 2, 3, 4 floor, big house, heavy. And these soil types, you're going to get some movement. If you just have a little tattoo on it, it's fine, you know, you'll be okay. But you find that after in there, a year or so, you see some cracks, big cracks start appearing all over the place. You're going to say, the contractor rob you. Let me just argue for contractors here. You need to go back and check your design and check your soil type. All right, the houses will settle. That's a natural thing, you know, because you put in a heavy weight on the soil. So the houses will settle. Over time, you get little hairline cracks here and there and that kind of thing. You get a little of that, and when you repaint it, you can fill them up. All right, so we want to be careful. Be careful also of building in areas where there are swamps. Well, nobody should be building in a swamp here because those areas should be protected. Mangrove type areas, those areas should be protected. But some areas on flat land have certain kind of soil types that are, it may be peat and so on, which are not suitable. And in those areas, there are fixes that your engineer will recommend for you. Rock is the best material to build on, the best soil to build on, but it is expensive to build on rock. You know, you can't eat a cake and have it. You understand? But rock, once it's continuous rock and not some piece of rock, it's the best thing to build on. Avoid flood plains. Now you know, the people in the district would tell you, miss, anytime rainfall, all of the water go down through there. So I don't care how the view look, stay far from there. Gully courses, avoid. Not that a gully course can run through piece of land, but you must be elevated enough and far enough away that when there is torrential rainfall, the floods don't affect you. We see enough nightmares when we get some little bad rain, not even hurricane good enough, but just some heavy rains. And climate change has been dealing us some serious intensity of rainfall. So we want to avoid drainage channels. Sometimes you drive around, I saw this house recently, there's the road has a dip, and the gentleman built his house. It's below the road and right where the dip is. And so all the water that comes down the road, it don't have any drain on it, you know. So the water would normally run through his land. So he would now have to invest in some serious drainage things to take it through his yard and dispose it to the gully. That's fine if you have the money, for it, but most of us don't. So we want to avoid those kind of areas. All right, so that is effectively pre-construction, your land selection. So we want to look now at pre-construction. What are the things you do before you get to building? So you get your land now and you find you're okay with your land. And at first, you want to get your designer, you want to get your architect. I think the Building Act allows for if the house is less than a certain square footage, 3,000 square feet, you don't have to select an architect. But I want you to be careful here because architects bring also not just design, but there's some amount, there's an advisory role that they also play in terms of what you're seeing in front of you. So yes, you might have your draftsman, but some of them are experienced enough, but many are not so experienced in terms of advising you about the soil types and other issues that may arise. Right? They will just produce a drawing for you. Your architect gives you more than that. So you want to also, so you don't drive your architect crazy. Please have an idea of what you want. Ladies, I know to watch HGTV. I want to read Architectural Digest and sing and all these fancy things with them Property Brothers and all of these things. Now, have an idea of where you want your bedrooms and all of these things. So when you sit down with the architect, he can generate for you quickly a kind of layout, like a concept kind of thing. That moves the process because each time you ask him to generate some concept, you're going to have to pay for it. Then you're going to frustrate the architect and frustrate yourself. So, and know what you want, know the kind of look you want and send some pictures. Drive up and down, take the pictures them quick so you don't drive past like Renay from Guardsman house and she think you're sticking up to her house like some kind of burglar. You may like the house and you want to take a quick picture. You take the picture and you move because you want to show that to your architect, say you want something like this. Okay, so you kind of know what you want so that project, that process moves quickly. You know, obviously you need to, based on what you want, you need to sit down with your architect will give you a cost proposal for that. Now, so the architect gives you the look. Then the architect can get the engineer for you to design the structure. Because the looks is one thing, but this building must stand up. Not care how it pretty, the building has to stand up and it has to be able to keep you and your family safe. So that's where your structural engineer comes in and he'll design all the steel elements, the concrete and so on, how the steel bars are placed and that kind of thing. And so that will, for the most part, complete the design. If your house is large enough, complicated enough, you know, we have houses that go up to like 30, 40,000 square feet. Yes, in Jamaica. Those buildings now may need a mechanical, electrical engineer to do the designs. And some of the houses we have built that have elevators in them. So you need we call a M&E, mechanical electrical engineer, who will design those aspects for you. So basically now we're kind of moving along the process. So you get we Jamaican tend to call them, you get the blueprint. It is only blue because when they take the originals to copy them, they use a process of preparing them. So it's really the copies. We're not using a lot of that anymore. So you're not going to see much blueprint. The drawing just come out white. Now, part of what you may want to consider, depending on where you are, the architect or the engineer may recommend that you do a soils report or a geotechnical report. If they are not certain, if there may be unstable slopes and you see some slope failures in the area, that's the benefit of using professionals. They will come in, they will say, listen, let us do 2 boreholes or do some soil tests over there. The whole idea of that is to make sure that the soil can take the weight of your building that you want to put on it. And then the engineer uses that information to design the proper foundation for your house. Because if the foundation not good, forget about it. Right? If the foundation is not good, the scripture also says, foolish man build him house upon sand. All right? So your foundation is the key thing. That's where you must invest in a proper foundation. All right, so you would have done your drawing. A couple of things you need to understand. Some of us love go live up in a woodland or bush, wherever you want to call it. Now, when you go up there, you want to check and make sure that if you're going a distance away from where normal services are, or what we call civilization, you will need to go speak to JPS and Water Commission, or you may have to generate your own electricity and sink a well, forget your own water, because you want to make sure that wherever you build, you can get electricity and water. Those are critical. So if you decide to go live a bush, then you're going to have to sort out yourself. or you're going to have to pay through your nose for JPS to run many light poles to come up to your house. And NWC probably don't even give you the time of day because you wouldn't want to pay the cost for them to bring water up to you. So you want to make sure that there's water supply available on JPS. Once you see power line pass your house, more than likely you'll be fine. And if your neighbor have pipe water, then you should also have pipe water too. One of the things is for areas you want to check if there is a municipal sewer, meaning that if you see some square metal things in the road going down, that's an idea that there's a sewer line that goes by, and you more than likely can connect to that. If that is not there, your architect or engineer will tell you that they have to design an on-site sewage. Now, these come in different types. The most popular type is your tile field or your reed bed. We have a recent experience with a client. They got the design before coming to us. And it was a reed bed design. And reeds grow up like maybe 3 feet you want them. But this client wanted to be able to walk everywhere in his yard. You can't walk through a reed bed. Is a sewage treatment kind of thing. And it sticks up above the ground. So it's important to ask. Tile field is suited if you love see your lawn and your flat and that kind of thing. I won't bore you with those details, but just know that if you're going with like a reed bed, it takes up space. And if you want a nice flat lawn with all the flowers, reed bed not giving you that. So make sure you have somewhere on the back, or somewhere on some corner to put that. All right, so we move on now. So you would have all your drawings and everything ready now. Luke 14:28. You must count the cost now. So we recommend that you get a quantity surveyor. We call them QS. They are not land surveyor. Please don't mix them up, right? They are quantity surveyor. What they will do, your QS, the QS will take your drawings, go through and measure off everything that is on the drawing that is to be built, put it in a document called a bill of quantities. So we say, okay, fine, you need 5 doors, this type of door, it need 500 square foot of tile, this type of tile, that kind of thing. How much block, concrete, steel, all of that. What that does for you is you get the QS can use some market rates and give you a fair enough estimate of the cost to build. What it also does for you is that you have a document that you can give a contractor for him to give you back a price. Let me explain something here. It's critical. When you're going to get price, we normally recommend that you give 3 contractors. But if you give 3 contractors just the drawing, each of them come back with a different idea of what is to be built and what you want. But if you give them the quantities with everything defined in it, then each of them is apples with apples. Each of them pricing the same exact thing. And so that's why we recommend that. Now, you may have a good contractor and give him drawing and maybe has a good track record and you are comfortable with him, then fine. By all means, go ahead. But we're talking about a general situation here because you want to be able to compare, have some kind of comparison to feel you're getting value for money. We have seen over and over where people just give the contractor the drawing and the contractor tell them a price. So you give the contractor a drawing for your 3-bedroom, 3-bathroom with a carport and your nice kitchen and so. And him just give back a piece of paper and it says $15 million. No, please don't go there. Run. You want to run from that situation. The costs have to be disaggregated, have to be broken down. It's helpful that if you want to increase a particular item or reduce the item, that item must already have been clearly defined. Because a lot of issues in construction is disputes over money and what was to be done and what wasn't to be done. So make sure everything is in black and white, clear, crystal, clear as day. All right? So once you know, you can decide if you want to use one contractor and negotiate to come to a point. You may have a budget, so you may have the big house. You want the big house, but your budget. Or them say, you may want a champagne house, but you have a Kool-Aid money. That is a reality. We want nice things. This is just being real here. You probably can't get everything one time. So you may sit down and decide, okay, fine, I'm going to do the shell and finish these 2 rooms and live in there, and then later on I finish. You decide what works best for you, but you can't sit down and say, it's $10 I have and I want to get that feet. You're going to have a problem. No go so. You ask your quantity surveyor to give you an idea of what it will cost to build your house. And when you go out and you get those quotes using the bill of quantities, it really gives you an idea what it will cost out there. It tells you. And so you set your thing around that. All right? So we're basically at the construction phase now. Now, just to start the construction, you need a contract. People, please, I beg you now. You cannot be spending millions of dollars just on the basis of me say and you say, or on the basis of a book leaf or something like that, a 1 page. No, that is not cutting it. You're not in the modern world. You must have a contract. If it's even forget your lawyer draft up something, you have to have a contract. The master builders, we sell various types of contracts. There are standard forms out there, and you can buy a standard form and then put in some special conditions in there if you want, right? So you don't have to go reinvent the wheel. You don't have to pay Tamika millions to write a brand new contract. You just have to pay her to write the special conditions for you. But it can come to the master builders. I just purchase a standard form. We have minor works, we have CIC forms. There's a whole bunch of forms we have. You understand? But you do not go to construction without a contract. Don't do it. That should never happen. I'm amazed at the number of times we see on the news, people say them send money down, and when you ask, you can't even find a piece of agreement that people have. You just earn your money and send it, just up to people you don't know. And a lot of times the client does not even have somebody on the ground here to follow up for them. You understand? Please do not go to construction without a contract. I cannot say it enough. It protects you, it also protects the contractor. It can be a one-sided thing. Like you want to hold a dagger contractor's throat and anything where you say the contractor have to swallow it. No, it must be balanced. So the standard forms that you get from the master builders, they are balanced. And then you also need to have somebody, a construction professional, you can use a quantity surveyor because they normally evaluate for the money. You can use the architect, you can use the engineer to act between you and the contractor because the professional will understand the contractor's language and communicate that to you. But a lot of times when you as a client talking to a contractor is like a Frenchman talking to maybe a Spaniard, I don't know. But you're not talking the same language. So you need somebody in the middle to kind of balance that. Okay, and remember these professionals are independent. Them don't just take your side because you're paying them. They are independent, registered professionals, so they act in that way. All right, so we are going to construction now, and a couple things. You want to ensure that the contractor gives you a schedule. It don't have to be no fancy scientific schedule. So if the agreement is you're going to take 8 months to build a house, give you a schedule just to say foundation will start this time and finish this time. Foundation going to take 3 weeks or 4 weeks. Then you're going to say the walls going to take maybe 2 months. Then you say the roof will take a month and so on. Just some basics so you can understand and plan your little thing. Then the contractor will also say to you, this month, might give you a cash flow statement to say this month I'm going to want 1.5 million. Next month, based on where the work should be, it's going to be an additional maybe 2 million. The following month and so on. What that does, it helps you to plan. So if you're going to get the money from VMBS or NHT, you're going early and say, look, see me something here, you know. I start a morning, me start with what me have in a little piggy bank. But no, I need you to chip in by this time. This is the money. Tell me what information I must give you. So you provide them with that. So everybody is prepared for the money. So the contractor workman them don't string him up and come block your gate and cause any embarrassment. All right? we could plan ahead. We must have some basic things we can do, you know, just for thing. And then have some kind of regular report. The contractor, make him even write it on handwriting in a crab tour, whatever. But make him write a little report that goes to a professional with even a few pictures and say, listen, this is where we are, where I am, where we may have these problems and so on. And must have somebody that the contractor can talk if he sees problems coming. Case in point. From last year, lumber's gone up in by multiples. So we don't even say it gone up by X% anymore. We said lumber double or triple or that. Steel gone up by maybe about 80%. So sometimes we as contractors look and we don't like how the steel price. And one of my suppliers said, in consecutive weeks, one Friday it went up 8,000, the following Friday it went up 3,000. So I call my clients and I say, listen, the steel price is going crazy. When we check, we realize that it's not going to stop going up. So can you advance the payments to the supplier to just pay for all the steel now that we're going to need? Because it's going to save the client. Because all I will do, you know, is come back and say, listen, my price for steel was $10 when I started this contract. It is now $20. You go have to pay me back the difference because I don't control steel. So it's in the client's interest now to act early and just pay that money quick so everybody is saved the additional expenses. If the contractor may find issues on site, he may find a particular part of the site is probably a sinkhole. You know, these things are you notify, say, how do we work around this? We may need to pull the building back a bit, position there. So again, shift it left, shift it right, pull it back, that kind of thing. So there has to be some kind of communication, but it's hard for you as a client to absorb all of this construction lingo in your head. It will mad you. So you need to have a professional, somebody there who will just help you with those decisions and just tell you what's best to do. So you just really have to say yes, no, what it will cost. You understand? Trust me, it saved the stress because one of the things, postmortem reports don't say stress. It's said from heart attack or something. At a time it's stress and some of it can be construction stress. So we want to encourage you to use the professionals that are available. Just a few other things. We can't, in Jamaica, we have a structured industry. So labor rates increase 1st of February each year. Now, there isn't always an increase. Like, so for 2021, there's not an increase because it was negotiated with the unions to give a reprieve to the industry, given COVID and all the other increases. So there will be an increase in February 1st, 2022. So sometimes it varies, 2%, it can be 4%, it can be 3%, it can be whatever. But but the industry structure. At the master builders, you can purchase the rate book so you know what rates to pay. So if you have a little laborer coming or if you have you're going to get a plumber some day work or a carpenter some day work or there's some other rate work, you can buy those rates from the IMAJ. The IMAJ also has an in-house consultant on Tuesdays and Thursdays. And the consultant is largely for homeowners who don't really know and can afford a professional to help them with them things. So you may be adding on a little bathroom, you can call in and get the best advice from him in terms of, you know, how to go about it, you know. So that is essentially, you know, in it. Now, the suggestion about the cash flow is important because you want to be, a lot of time, you don't hear this thing about contractor try thief or try rob you. No, when you have your cash flow, you know how your thing will be settled. But also, not because the cash flow is given to you, you're going to just pay the cash flow. You would have your professional assess the contractor's claim. So it would send in a claim, and the QSR over user come in and say, yes, and finish that, ticket, you know, you never do that, you only do half. So you cut it by half and that kind of thing, and then present something to you for you to pay. So it's important. Now there's a critical thing that causes problem, changes. If you give most contractor you draw and you don't make any change, you're going to get your building quick and at the cost, most of the times. The issues start when you want change. The living room too small, The bathroom too small, bathroom one bigger, I want a jacuzzi, I don't want a bath, and we go down the road and we want this, and we go over where? We go over Renay house and see Renay have one big fabulous backyard with all bells and whistles, and we come back and we want that to listen. It costs money. So what you want to do when you want a change is to indicate that to the contractor and have the contractor give you a cost for the change. And then you can decide if you want to proceed with the change or not. You may not like what I did say over Renay again when you see the price. So we want to make sure. No, but you must. I'm saying that is one of the biggest problems, changes, or we call them variations. Here in government contract here about variation. Contractor can't make change. Contractor don't change anything. Contractor has to be instructed to make the change and can be instructed by the client or the client's representative. I just want to encourage everybody, do the paperwork, do your paperwork, get your contract in place, have a written agreement, even how you will pay, you have that written agreement. You can't have, well, I don't know how to do it if you have a contractor every Friday and just send you a bill. That's crazy. You can't go so. No, you say every fortnight or the end of every month. You understand? That's crazy, unless you know, unless a taxi or run and you know the money collect and then you can pay weekly. But you know, outside of that, structure the thing. We also sell safety handbooks, forms of construction manuals and that kind of thing. And the IMAJ and the reps usually are available for fora like these. So it may not be me, can be a vice president, any one of the other council members will come in and share. We conduct training for those employed in the industry, because we have to continuously train our people so they can improve and be better and be better. So those are in a basket, some of the things we do. Have been around since 1952. And we keep going. We advocate. You may see us in the news making nice about mobile bypass and all things. We just want to make sure that Jamaicans benefit the most from any money Jamaica is spending. That is all. Thank you. And I hope you guys find the information helpful.
Wow. Mr. Kelly, so where were you all this time?
MH is always a man from 1952.
But what is the point in a diamond if nobody can see it? People need to know. The average Jamaican needs to know. And it's not just for those overseas. It's for those of us out here, as you rightfully said, doing an addition, doing something. And we just need proper sound advice. I mean, the comments are coming in, nice presentation, very relatable. What somebody say you're cute.
I need to lend them my glasses, that's it. So
Mr. Kelly, thank you so very much for the way you handled that. And these are real questions because you're so right. Everybody wants to be up on, I'm on the hill with a nice view, but I'm also on the rock. But everybody wants to be in this space and they want the waterfront. And there are so many things to consider. And these are things that we really do take for granted. And many of us have been our own quantity surveyor, our own contractor. Some of us even turn our own plumbers. I know you realize that sometimes it costs you 3, 4, 5 times what it would have, what it would have cost you if you had gone the right route. And also, additionally, I will say this. I like the fact that you have the forms, but I do believe, it's something that touched deeply with me. I still do believe, even with a form, we still need for it to be witnessed by an attorney, somebody who will protect us, somebody who would say this left out, no sign that, they're going to trick you, there's a loophole.
Thank you, Renay.
Yes.
Thank you. And the arbitration clause, when the dispute happens, the 90% of the time, and the contractor run over time, and you pay him $10 million, is only $8 million worth of work. Need to be captured. The damages, how are you compensated? Need to be properly. Thank you, Renay.
Renay, if I might, let me just answer to me.
Sure.
There is no way the contractor should have $10 million if he only do $8 million worth of work. Somebody fell down on the job.
Mr. Kelly, at Jamaica, this is still between me and you.
No, but you have your QS who will assess the work.
and we have ideas.
There's something for you to know. There's an item called a retention that you hold.
Right.
It's only 10% of the work. Each time you hold it as a fund. And what that does now, if the contractor decides to not come, you have some money there to fix some things. Because part of the process is not just to inspect, to pay. It's also to inspect to ensure that the quality is there. You can't necessarily trust the contractor that you need an independent person to ensure that what should go there is there. We have projects where we do, and we may have had some faulty material. We have to go back through it and make sure we take up that faulty material and fix the situation. But some people will just leave it there and go about their business. You know, ultimately it's going to cause a problem. But
so you're there to protect us.
Up to the integrity of the contractor, you must. So the standard contracts come with these things, you know. Who witnesses the contract with you? You have to have witnesses for both signatories. You can request a bond if you're spending enough. Say you go build maybe, you know, like a small apartment complex or whatever. You request a bond from the contractor so that you can't just up and run with it. Provide a bond for 10% of the contract sum. So that bond, you have something to hold on to. There are insurances, there are a whole bunch of stuff, but we have been loose in spending our millions. We really need to.
We have been.
The things that are in place. These things are there now. These are nothing new. These are standard.
But the truth is, Mr. Kelly, not very many of us are aware that this even exists. And that's why this webinar is so important, not just for those in diaspora, but for us as Jamaicans. You know, it is so important that we're doing this, you know. And so I want to thank you again for the able way in which you handled up the thing today. You were amazing and very relatable.
I choose ideas because they bring our hearts back. Hearts back home, the place I know, the place I go.